23 minutes. The Clippers played Denver tough last night before losing by 3. Their losing streak is now at 6, including 0-5 with James Harden. Harden had 21 points but was scoreless in the fourth quarter. Colorado football coach Deion Sanders expressed compassion for the 4 Beaumont High School students facing charges for burglarizing the Colorado locker room at the Rose Bowl on October 28th. Anonymous tips led Pasadena police to the students. 2 of the students are football players who are being recruited by UCLA. Deion wants the students to atone for what they did, but he doesn't want the incident to jeopardize their hopes for college. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in celebrating the season of giving by being part of the solution. As we enjoy great food, family, warmth, and well wishes in whatever our festive tradition may be, we share the beauty of the season by reaching out to the less fortunate. Please help us to help others with the KBLA Cover the Houseless Cozy Community Coat and Blanket Drive. All you have to do is drop off new or clean, gently used winter coats and blankets in the KBLA lobby during business hours. Now through December 20th, all of the coats and blankets will be donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, let's remember, we keep us safe. We keep us warm. We are the safety net, and together we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DePrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DePrima. Go sis.
First things first.
Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DePrima. The show is called First Things First. My first thing today and every single day, giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it going. Let's get this day off to a great start. That's why we call it First Things First. The way we do it, hour one, we usually look to the left coast. What's going on around here, where you're at, if you're on the west side. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person of interest or expertise, maybe a hot topic. And today we will be talking with the chairman of the National Newspaper Publishers Association about the state of the black press and what stories they're tracking that we may have missed. That should be a fascinating conversation. Hour three, of course, it's a Wealth Building Wednesday, so we'll meet a Black-owned, BIPOC-owned woman, small business, or socially innovative venture today. We do that every Wednesday, and we ask that you, shop there, support them however you can. Hour one today, though, I'm really pleased to have the council member for the 1st District here in Los Angeles. It's a conversation we've been meaning to have for quite some time, and it's going to happen today. She's 1 year in. She's a community organizer, actually, the daughter of Mexican immigrants, a lifelong District 1 resident, born and raised in Highland Park. And she's led campaigns, coalitions, and commissions that have transformed local and statewide policy as an activist before running for the LA City Council in 2021. Councilmember Eunisses Hernandez, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate y'all.
Thanks for coming on. I know, for the millennial generations, 6 a.m. is not really a thing. So I appreciate you getting up and joining us this morning.
Of course, thank you. I'm an early bird.
Oh, you are? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
No wonder you made it to the city council. I think, those of you who pay attention to politics may remember that Eunisses' election was a bit of an upset, that being the fact that you were able to unseat an incumbent. And that's one of those things that, people in the know say doesn't happen.
Yes. Everybody told me it would be impossible.
Yeah, but it actually turned out to be very possible. But, I always wonder this. I asked this many years ago to then Assemblymember Karen Bass. I've asked it to Marquise Harris-Dawson. I'll ask you. Going from being the agitator, the activist, the person that can, speak truth to power and, into the halls of power, that's got to be a little bit challenging as a transition.
It definitely has been a challenging process. And, it was actually, Mayor Bass and Councilmember Marquise Harris-Dawson who told me that the transition would not be an easy one and that it would be long. And I see that now. But I feel like I'm figuring out my footing and trying to figure out those moments where I can speak truth to power, where I should speak truth to power, even if it might not be convenient for myself or that position, because we can do all that we can in the background, in the front to like develop policy, to compromise and things like that. But the bully pulpit is another opportunity to reach out to community, to let them know that there's people in these positions that have their back, that have their interests. And so it's been a roller coaster these past 10 months of trying to figure out how to balance that. But I have a phenomenal team, and people thought I was going to come in like a bull in a china shop, but we haven't achieved everything we've achieved in community if it wasn't because we were diplomatic, we were strategic, we were hardworking. So it's been a good ride, but a lot of learning lessons.
Yeah. And it's been a learning lessons. I mean, I imagine that certainly, even though freeways are controlled by the state, when your district is impacted, your residents are turning to you for help, and pretty much all of us are being hit hard by the closure of the 10 freeway, this fire that happened. Is there any information, updates, or outlook on that you could share with us this morning?
The only updates that I have is that it will take about 3 to 6 weeks for the freeway to be fixed up, which is great because we were waiting to hear whether it was going to have to be a demolition or just a fixing. So we've heard that it'll be 3 to 6 week timeline, which I just hope folks can pay attention to that, because oftentimes it takes a long time to build this type of infrastructure, and the money, the projects move like molasses, as I think can all tell by having to navigate some of these different freeways with construction. But I just think this is a beautiful example of when, government can come together to meet the need urgently to fix something quickly. And 3 to 6 weeks might seem like a long time for people, but when you compare that to other projects, it's not. It's a quite a short time. And I just want to give a shout out real quick to our firefighters in Los Angeles. They responded so quickly and so effectively that, we don't have to demo the freeway. We just have to fix it up. So that's the information that we have at this time. But I'm sure that the mayor and her team will be giving more updates as the weeks progress.
Honestly, I was expecting months and months. So to me, that was a pretty good outcome. I was thinking, maybe by Black History Month, this freeway will be open, or March, April. So I think that's really, like you said, that's good news for everybody. In the meantime, we just have to, work from home if possible. And if not possible, try to get on the metro. I'm not sure how much it impacts District 1, but I just feel like every single district, we all connect to the 10.
Oh, yes. District 1 is surrounded by about 4 freeways, the 10 being one of them. So it definitely impacts folks getting into CD1, Chinatown, and some of those neighborhoods. So it impacts all of us, and also commerce. So I think it's very exciting to see them move quickly.
Yeah, yep. Well, there's a lot of things that you said you haven't been able to accomplish, but you've made some pretty big moves and pretty big statements in just 1 year on the council. So talk to me about that. That 1 year, you're almost exactly a year in. How are you feeling about the progress? What are you feeling most strong about that you have been able to move or not move?
Hey, thank you for that question, Dominique. So we've been in there almost a month. We're almost I'm almost a year. We're almost to the year mark. And, although, like I said earlier, people thought we were going to disrupt, and we are disrupting, but in the best ways possible, I think. District 1 is a district with over 22 neighborhoods that extends from Highland Park to Pico Union with over 250,000 constituents. And the district ranges from, we have hillside communities that are higher income. We have some of our most lowest income communities, such as Chinatown, MacArthur Park. Many of our neighborhoods are battling gentrification. MacArthur Park is impacted severely by the opioid crisis. And this is the district that we have come into. And so a lot of the first few months of being in office, it was just about trying to reduce the harm of my predecessor, because so many projects had been approved, so many development projects were in the pipeline that could potentially have detrimental impacts around displacement in our community. And so that's what we did for a few months in the beginning, just try to hold back the gentrification that was happening throughout our district. And it was also about being responsive to constituent services. When we got in, there were thousands of 311 requests that had been made to this office and to the city that had been unmet, that had not even been responded to. And so the first thing we did getting in office was putting motions in to address the 311 backlog of cases.
And for people that aren't familiar, 311 is the number you can call for city services. And there's even an app, like if you want bulky items pickup, or you need a new trash can, or you want if you need information about city, you can call 311. And you're saying they were just sitting there, no one had done anything about them?
No, thousands of calls.
Wow, that's
thousands
crazy.
Of requests just sitting there. Yeah, and this is for, like you said, graffiti remover, bulky item pickup, lights are out, potholes, and so that meant for years, our constituents of this district were not getting their needs met. And so when I was knocking doors, running for this position, that's what I would get a lot at the doors. We don't get a response from the office. We don't get support. I haven't gotten an email in years. And
wow.
So, yes. And this was a regular occurrence at the doors. So that's why we focus so heavily on making sure we could get through that backlog and create a process for our team to be able to follow up when these requests are made. And since we've been in office, we've received over 15,000 new 311 requests. And, we are going through them. But we are really happy that folks are using the app, because the people who are closest to the problems are the ones who can let us know and give us those solutions and give us the alerts so we can go out there. And the last thing that I really want to flip, the two last things, is that, I'm on the transportation committee that is chaired by Councilwoman Heather Hutt. And safe street infrastructure was also a huge priority for us and for me during the campaign. And we've been able to implement a significant number of street safety, improvements throughout the entire district. I'm talking speed bumps, reducing the speed limit at our elementary schools and all our schools at LAUSD. So there's a lot that we're moving, because this district in particular has a lot of high injury network roads, which means that these are roads where there's a lot of traffic accidents, where pedestrians are getting hurt. And even in the first few months of our being in office, we saw that, there was an accident at one of our elementary schools while young people were trying to cross the street. So safe street infrastructure is really important to me. And I know that sometimes community sees safe street infrastructure as potentially as an annoyance, if I could say. But we've been providing a lot of education. It's okay to slow down a little bit. You want your neighbor to be able to go to school and come back home safely. And I will say that in my first few months in office as well, I met a young man who had been riding his bike, and he got hit by a car. And his mom was explaining to me that, he was very active, played soccer, 29 years old. And this car accident left his entire body broken and left him with the mental capacity of a child, of an infant.
Wow.
And so, yes, when people talk about bike lanes, when people talk about safe street infrastructure being a hindrance or annoyance, I go to these stories of, people are dying and getting broken. And it's been really helpful to kind of ground people in the need for safe street infrastructure, for slowing down. And, I'm just glad that we've been able to accomplish a lot of that in a short amount of time with our Department of Transportation and our Transportation Committee. And the last thing I'll say that I'm really, really excited about that we've been working on, and I'm excited because I'm seeing movement, but it comes also from a lot of heartbreak, is, in January, LAPD killed 3 people in the first couple of weeks of the year. One of those people was Takar Smith, who was killed in our district. And, these 3 people who were killed, Keenan Anderson, Takar Smith, and Oscar, they were all going through mental health crises. Takar Smith was speaking gibberish, and when he was killed. And we've been working a lot and diligently on building out an alternate crisis response system and team for the city of Los Angeles. You should be able to call 911 and have a psychiatric mobile response team join you so that they can deal with the mental health crises. And we just don't have that at the level that we need to at the city. So we brought people from other cities like Denver, and we've been communicating with people in Portland who have these alternate crisis response teams to meet with our city council, to present to our city council, and to meet with the mayor. And, the mayor put in $15 million this last budget cycle to expand and create alternate crisis response system in the city of Los Angeles. So these past 10 months have gone by fast, but, we've been able to push a lot, and particularly in these areas, so that, one, we can meet the needs of our community, but also we keep people safe in all the ways that we can.
Talking with 1st District Councilmember Eunisses Hernandez. Of course, there's more policing issues that we can talk about, budget issues. There's a lot going on, and I'm so glad that we have you for the hour. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
This week at Target, you'll find different early Black Friday deals. Get fun deals on the latest tech, toys, and video games, plus smart deals on small appliances, floor care, and so much more. At Target, you'll discover different early Black Friday deals each week. And get what you need for the holidays fast with free drive-up or score free shipping when you spend $35 or use your red card at Target.com. Get low prices and early Black Friday deals only at Target. Exclusions apply.
Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, Black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any Black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
Just be natural. Try to roll around in it gracefully and not like a puppy.
Maria's photography studio is zooming into a flurry of projects.
Where did I put that memory card?
She needs an assistant to keep business in focus.
Hang on while I change the external flash. Oh,
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
Right now, we're talking with council member for the 1st District, Eunisses Hernandez. She is new to the council, having unseated an incumbent there and becoming one of a kind of a block of progressives now on the council, I'll say. And a lot of us, as you said, people were thinking you were going to go in there like a bull in a china shop and just shut everything down. And it sounds like you've been picking your battles. But how is that? How does that feel? Do you see a shift in the way the council's functioning, with a pretty big block between yourself, Hugo Soto Martinez? I'll put Marquise Harris Dawson in that camp, Nithya Raman, of progressives on the council.
Yes, I think, especially from what my colleagues who have been there before me have told me, is that the energy has definitely shifted. Folks are more collaborative. And at least my motto is that I can work with everyone. It just won't be on everything. And so, we lie on different ends of the spectrum. But, if you like animals, let's work on animal services stuff together. And so there's just been a lot of collaboration. And obviously we stand in different positions on things. And some of us maybe more on the progressive side. But it's been a space where we're building together, where we're co-authoring motions, seconding motions of each other that perhaps folks never thought that would happen. But I really enjoy working with people like, Tim McCosker, and other folks on the council who perhaps folks never thought that we would be collaborating.
Yeah, McCosker's a former police commissioner, right?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so when you talked about this idea of alternative response to mental health, and especially citing cases like Keenan Anderson, and I know the county has a 988 system where you could call 988 and get a response for, that's not police, for emergencies. But they've had trouble getting the mental health workers to even staff that up. How do you see that impacting, what you're talking about, the city efforts to have mental health teams that respond? And I know you're not talking about what we currently have, which is a small number of teams that include an officer and a mental health practitioner. From what I understand, they're almost always, difficult to even get because they're booked because we have such a small number, and the officer is the lead on those calls.
Yes. So the lack of both clinicians available for these type of positions, and the lack of infrastructure and support for our areas around like our dispatching systems, are barriers to fully moving the implementation of this system in the city of Los Angeles. And, I think it's a struggle that we have in California and Los Angeles, because when we brought people from the Denver STAR program, the Denver STAR program is a citywide, countywide Denver alternate crisis response system and instead of teams. These teams are connected to their 911 system. These teams are led by mental health clinicians, nurses, community intervention workers, and they've been able to scale up to meet the needs of the city and the county of Denver. Now, they are not having the same issues in hiring clinicians, but that is also because, they have really invested in making sure that these positions, that the scheduling benefits the staff, that the pay is one that is attractive and competitive, and being flexible in adapting through the recommendations of the staff and clinicians that work this program. And here in Los Angeles, the county has taken some steps, thankfully, to help make some of these jobs more attractive in the Department of Mental Health. But I think we really need to be exploring, how do we get more young people in? How do we pay people more? How do we make these salaries competitive for these positions that are very high intensity jobs? Similar to, there was you talked about teams with law enforcement and clinicians. Those are called co-responder teams. And even then, these co-responder teams are struggling because we cannot get enough clinicians. And so from conversations, from seeing what the county has been doing, I really think that what we need to do is just make sure that we put up these salaries and that the scheduling is better, because it's hard. We got a lot of was that it's hard to go out 5 days a week for these long hours. They would prefer to do much longer shifts and less days of the week, because then they can decompress from the crises that they're constantly responding to. And so those might seem like small changes, but if you're not getting paid a wage that's going to have you thriving, especially when you're having to work like an overnight job where all you're answering to is mental health crisis calls, I see it as a big challenge. But these are things that we can do and we should move. They're just going to cost us some money.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like everything else, housing is a factor, because I'm sure whatever salary they're paying in Denver, they're not faced with the kind of housing costs, to even maintain here in Los Angeles. But you also mentioned this idea of street medicine teams, and I know that that's something that's new, right? Where some of the insurers are now allowing for medical practitioners to be able to go out and meet the people where they are if they're unhoused, so they can get care. Talk to me about that.
Yes. So street medicine teams, we talked about the alternate crisis response teams. Those are to respond to mental health crises that are urgent. Now, street medicine teams, imagine that they're a step below that. They answer to calls and do proactive work before crises occurs, and they're there to catch people and support people after the crisis has occurred, after they've been released from the ER or the hospital or the jail. And so this team of doctors, nurses, community intervention workers proactively go out into the community, provide people, particularly people who are experiencing homelessness, with wound care, with psychotropic medication, with hygiene kits, with, rides to different appointments. I did a ride along with our USC street medicine team. And we were able to get one through the mayor's budget that she approved, which is $1 million for a street medicine team just for our district. And during the ride along, we had met a young man that had cancer. And, the street medicine team was able to get him into chemotherapy and all the services he needed. And because his cancer had advanced and he had no way of getting health care. And, they do wound care to prevent the amputation of limbs.
Hold that thought, Councilwoman. We have a hard stop here for news, traffic, and sports, but this is fascinating. I think a lot of people don't know about it. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Thank you for joining us on a Wednesday. It's November 15th. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The House has passed a stopgap bill that will prevent a government shutdown. Tuesday, the House voted in favor of a Republican plan to fund some departments until mid-January and through the rest of early February at current spending levels. The bill now heads to the Senate, where it does have bipartisan support. 4 former Memphis, Tennessee police officers charged in the Tyree Nichols case have been given a court extension until January 8th. The extension was granted Tuesday after defense attorneys received a large amount of evidence to review last week. The 4 officers face second-degree murder charges in the death of the African-American man last January. The 5th officer accepted a plea deal earlier this month. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Get great deals all month long when you shop Black Friday every day at Lowe's. Get 25% off all artificial Christmas trees and tree decor. Valid through 11/15. Tree decor includes ornaments, toppers, collars, and skirts. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers tied a team record last night with 22 three-pointers. They beat Memphis by 27 to win their third straight. LeBron recovered from his leg bruise. He had 16 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists in 23 minutes. The Clippers played Denver tough last night before losing by 3. Their losing streak is now at 6, including 0-5 with James Harden. Harden had 21 points but was scoreless in the fourth quarter. Colorado football coach Deion Sanders expressed compassion for the 4 Beaumont High School students facing charges for burglarizing the Colorado locker room at the Rose Bowl on October 28th. Anonymous tips led Pasadena police to the students. 2 of the students are football players who are being recruited by UCLA. Deion wants the students to atone for what they did, but he doesn't want the incident to jeopardize their hopes for college. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Beloved Entertainment presents Sweet Spot Live with me, Angelique Francis, at the beautiful Miracle Theater at 226 South Market Street in Inglewood on Sunday, November 19th at 6 p.m. Join me with KBLA for short stories told live on stage with us, by us. Yes, our own storytellers straight from the neighborhood. Colorful and provocative live storytelling event celebrating our unique culture, our strength, our courage, our faith, and yes, our fire. We invite you to walk with us through the neighborhood, even run with us down our dark alleys if you dare. Just around the corner, there is laughter, unspeakable pain, secrets never told. But don't worry. The door is unlocked and we're going to leave the porch light on. That's Sunday, November 19th at the Miracle Theater, 226 Market Street in Inglewood, 6 p.m. Yes, it is all happening right here in the Sweet Spot. Tickets available, sweetspotlive.eventbrite.com, sweetspotlive.eventbrite.com. We got a lot to talk about.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, though.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
This week at Target, you'll find different early Black Friday deals. Get fun deals on the latest tech, toys, and video games, plus smart deals on small appliances, floor care, and so much more. At Target, you'll discover different early Black Friday deals each week. And get what you need for the holidays fast with free drive-up or score free shipping when you spend $35 or use your red card at Target.com. Get low prices and early Black Friday deals only at Target. Exclusions apply.
Love like this before.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
District 1 Councilmember Eunisses Hernandez is our guest. And before I forget, I just want to remark, since we were talking about this yesterday, the Los Angeles Police Commission has punted on the ruling with Takar Smith. They said they lost a quorum in closed session, so we had expected a ruling on whether or not that killing was in or out of policy possibly yesterday. It looks like they're saying now November 21st they will take the issue up again. In case you were planning to call in, KBLA delegation. I'm not sure if you want to comment on that, Councilwoman.
Just looking forward to seeing what the results are.
Yeah. We were talking about the street medicine teams, and it's something relatively new, at least on a wider spread level. I think it looks like something that's going to be more and more common. What else should people know about it? Is it something that folks who are unhoused can access by calling, or it's just the folks have to show up and you have to happen to be there when they come around?
So right now, I will say the goal, Dominique, is to incorporate street medicine teams to our 911 dispatching system. And this is so that in the future, when people need help, like, they see someone who's experiencing homelessness on the street, and they might be laying down on the ground, or they might be going through a little bit of a, having some issues, or they see that this person's leg is, oozing, that it might be affected. Then Angelinos will be able to call 911 and say these things, and our dispatchers, when, hopefully that we're working to invest in them and their training, will be able to dispatch the appropriate team to that call. So the street medicine team is one of those teams that we hope can be added to the 911 dispatching system so that it could help alleviate some of the pressure that lands on our police and fire department to answer all the calls. And so right now, though, the current status of the street medicine team is that not every district in the city of Los Angeles has one. There are very few teams. These teams currently are proactive in their outreach. So they go out into the districts that they serve every day, dealing with different clients that they have. We also, as council offices, can provide the street medicine team with an address or location to say, hey, we just engaged this person. They need some help, some mental health medication or wound care. And then they will go out and meet with the individual. And they stay connected with these individuals regardless of where these people move to. And they are focused on people experiencing homelessness. But that could expand in the future. Mm-hmm. But right now they're proactive, and we're hoping, again, to make them a citywide response that is engaged with 911.
Perfect. The first time I think I met you was at the People's Budget Coalition, People's Budget. They had a debate.
Yes.
And, I was really impressed with what you had to say. It's People's Budget season again, and people are taking the survey. You were one of the few that voted against the last budget because of the issue of, how much of the city's budget do we put into law enforcement and how much do we invest in other areas. Talk to me about how you see that decision, in the rearview mirror, and how you see it in the new budget. With it's going to be the same conversation again, right? We have the same conversation every year. How much do we free up for other things in the city budget, and how much goes to the LAPD?
Thank you for that question, Dominique. And I was the only no vote on this last budget cycle. I would do it again. I wouldn't change that decision.
Okay. My bad. For some reason, I thought Councilmember Rahman also voted no. It was only you?
Only me. Where
wow.
we had three votes was around the police contract, around the union contract. Yes.
Right.
Which is great, which is,
the huge giant raises that they got. Yeah. Super amazing.
$1 billion.
Yeah.
Yes. It's wild. And so we voted collectively on that. But the budget, one of my heroes is Supervisor Holly Mitchell. And Supervisor Holly Mitchell has said over and over again that a budget is a statement of our values. And when a quarter of our city budget, nearly a quarter of our city budget goes to one department, and the one department being LAPD, that leaves us and other departments scrambling for crumbs. And so when I got into office, I learned that it takes at least 7 years and maybe to fix a sidewalk, 3 to 5 years to install a blue handicap curb. We have outrageous numbers of animals in our animal shelters. We have an eviction to homelessness pipeline that we are not closing up whatsoever. And so I voted no on the budget because I felt, and my constituents have been asking for services that we cannot provide because we don't have enough staff. We don't have enough teams to do some of the labor. And all of that requires money. All of that requires resources. And so I just kept seeing us bringing in departments and telling departments, well, why can't you do your job? Why can't you do this? We're asking you to do this. Why can't you do this or move faster? And a lot of it is because of the budget, because they don't get the necessary resources they need to meet the demands of a city of 4 million people. And I just felt that it didn't align with the vision that we had for Los Angeles, the demands that we're getting from our constituents, to vote for a budget that puts nearly a quarter of it into the LAPD, when we need to invest in the Department of Transportation, LA Animal Services. The LA Youth Development Department has a budget of a little bit over $2 million.
Wow.
We spent, in the same budget, the line item for LAPD uniforms was over $6 million. So you're telling me that we're investing more in police uniforms than the 800,000 children in the city of Los Angeles? How can we do that? How can I consciously move in that way? And so, I wouldn't change my vote. Now, the thing that I'm changing moving forward is how we move, how we try to reduce the money. And what I mean by that, I mean that in the same budget, we approved $20 million for new police vehicles. We approved an 18th helicopter. How, as a council, we only have so much discretion over the budget. So what I would change is that the way that I would target the areas that we do have discretion over. And so that's what we're going to be doing in this next budget cycle, is obviously, yes, uplifting the things that we need, which is a citywide alternate crisis response system. We need a significant investment in rental assistance, both for mom and pop landlords, but also for tenants. We need to invest in making sure that we can fix our sidewalks so we can stop getting sued. And so we're going to be pushing for those things and the things that, community is demanding. I'm really excited to see what comes out of the People's Budget LA process. We don't have a full participatory budget program yet. I know that we're scaling it up to different parts of the city, but this is, I think, one of the better ways to listen to what community is asking for, especially when it's their taxes that are making a huge chunk of our budget.
So it sounds like you're saying you're going to proactively focus on getting the funds to the people who are underfunded, rather than focusing all your attention on just voting against the allocation that, whatever budget allocation the mayor comes up with for the police department.
Yes, and then I'll say that is very much because, this $1 billion that was approved by the city council to invest in the LAPD contract, that is money that we cannot touch. That is money that we cannot move. And so technically, every single year for the next 4 years, there will be an increase in the LAPD budget, and it will be for salaries and pensions. And so I'm trying to focus on the other end and try to reduce the money that we do have discretion over.
Do you ever, we saw the police association investing quite a bit of money into trying to defeat Mayor Bass. Do you ever worry about that, retaliatory kinds of organizing around to remove you as clearly the progressive flank of the city council?
I think about that. I do think about that, and I know they will. They came for me when I was running for office the first time, earlier this year. And so I know that the special interest groups will be coming for me, landlords, developers, law enforcement. I didn't take any of their money before. I'm not planning to take any in the future. And I didn't run for them. I ran for the people. I ran for my community members, for our elders, our young people. And so I I know that they're coming, but that's okay.
You understood the assignment.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we come forward, I want to talk to you about this idea of coalition. A lot of times, on this show and my former show, The Front Page, people would say, we're always talking about being in unity with the Latina community, and they don't stand for us. This is something I hear consistently from a certain segment of my delegation here. Want to get your thoughts on that. And of course, I have to ask you about the upcoming election, most especially your colleague, disgraced Councilmember Kevin De Leon. All that straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste, so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Escalade IQ. This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac, perfected like Zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat intellect since 92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Come with 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You hear me? You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Dilly, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bustin', truckin'. Cadillac, Cadillac, Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit Cadillac.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range. On a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection. Consistent with SCHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
When breaking news happens, keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580.
So pleased to announce that the 43rd mayor of the city of Los Angeles is on the phone. Mayor Karen Bass, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, Dominique?
Good. You must be incredibly swamped right now, and I appreciate you checking in. It's indefinitely what we're hearing, that the 10 freeway to be down?
Yes, that is the case. All of those travel apps, pay attention to those. As we get information, they've been uploaded right away. So those maps should be accurate. But we actually are trying to tell people to stay on freeways, to follow the route, because our streets can't handle 300,000. Yeah. Our streets would be parking lots. There is metro, there is public transportation. So they're increasing the frequency of trains and increasing the frequency of buses. So you can go to 511 and learn about metro. You can go to emergency.lacity.gov to learn about any information on the city. This is a time for all of us to stay together. We're trying every avenue possible. That's why it's so important that you reached out, Dominique. Always want to make sure that the KBLA audience is up to speed.
Mayor Karen Bass, thank you so much. Godspeed.
All right, thank you.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
All right, so there we were, cruising through the new open-air zoo, when I realized that the park was closing in like 15 minutes. Luckily, we were in my Nissan Rogue. With its powerful VC turbo engine, well, we had time to see all the animals. Whoa! And outrun a few!
Drive the Nissan Rogue.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
First District LA City Councilwoman Eunisses Hernandez is my guest. She's a community organizer, a daughter of immigrants, but also a lifelong District 1 resident. Before we jump into coalition, I got to ask you about the tenant protections. Yesterday, the LA City Council made a move to allow landlords to raise rents by 4% next year. And I know, you already think tenants need further rights, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Dominique. Yesterday, the council voted on whether to extend the rent freeze on RSO units. So these are rent stabilized units, which is currently set to expire on January 31st of 2024. I introduced an amendment asking to freeze the rent increase until we have an economic study done to truly understand the full impact of these increases on people. Because when we think about RSO units, a lot of these folks are some of the lowest income, some of our most vulnerable people in Chinatown. A lot of our RSOs are the people who live in there are very senior migrants, particularly Chinese migrants and our elders. So that's who's living in these units. And unfortunately, the amendment did not pass. But, this means that our RSO tenants could face a 4 to 6% increase on their rent. And I know how impactful that is for so many tenants. And that's why I fought so hard to find a solution that helps both tenants and small mom and pop landlords. Like during COVID-19, not during COVID-19, during the 2008 recession, I had to rent rooms in my home so that we could pay the mortgage, so that we wouldn't lose our home. And so I've had experience having to be a landlord, having to work with a tenant. And so I know people think that I don't take that into consideration, like what the perspective is of small mom and pop landlords, but I do. I can also say that the city has dragged their feet a little bit, and we can move much faster and better in supporting our small mom and pop landlords. There have been motions that have been put in the queue since January of this year that would help create a new fund to support mom and pop landlords, and we just haven't moved on that. The housing department, it hasn't moved on that as quickly as we need to. And so I look forward to working together with my colleagues, with the housing department, to make sure that we stop this eviction to homelessness pipeline that we're seeing, and also to make sure that people do not lose the properties that they perhaps have invested in for generations. So it's a lot, but, hopefully we can keep people in their homes, because it's much harder to house somebody once they're already experiencing homelessness than it is to keep someone in their home.
Right. So when you talk about expanding a tenant's bill of rights, what does that mean? What does that look like?
That looks like many things. It looks like making sure that people's habitability standards are being met, that mold is taken care of, that, because a lot of why people self-evict, and many times, which people should never self-evict, but if they self-evict, what we're hearing is a lot of it because of habitability standards not being met. So cockroaches, mold, things that, make it unlivable. And so those are some of the basics. There's also different programs that exist to help with that, such as the REAP and SCEP program that we would love to share more information with you all about, that would help with some of these habitability standards. But also making sure that, we educate people on not taking cash for keys offers, do not self-evict, and creating, those posters when you go into a job and it gives you all your rights as an employee. That is one of the things we also are looking to put, is like, here is the rights that you have as tenants, because right now a lot of what folks have to do to stay in their homes is to learn about their rights. And oftentimes, like, I'll say that, a huge chunk of the renters in the city of Los Angeles are Latinos and do not speak English. And so making sure that these type of rights and rules are shared with them in their languages, I think would be very helpful. Both, and also so mom and pop landlords know their rights as landlords and how they should be moving. So there's a lot of things that we can do around tenant protections, and I think we've moved many of them earlier this year, like right to counsel, so that people have access to an attorney. But there's just still so much more we can do.
So the question I asked about coalition is particularly, I think, fraught when it comes to Black and Latino in this, or Latine in this city. speak to that, and it kind of overlaps with the question about Kevin De Leon, because I feel like this is an area where we have seen some solidarity.
Yes, in community, every project that I have been a part of has been in collaboration and with other communities, Black, Brown, Indigenous, AAPI, and that's really the only way that we've been able to win a lot of these things. For example, Measure J was co-authored by myself and Isaac Bryan, Assemblymember Isaac Bryan. We both co-chaired that campaign, and it was very intentional for us to do it together to show the solidarity between our communities. And I'm a big believer that you can never win anything by yourself. You need as many people at the table with varying experiences and taking the lead and following the lead of people who are directly impacted in a lot of these crises. And so I see no other way of moving any type of work if it's not in solidarity and in collaboration and in coalition with the many communities that are very much disproportionately impacted by a lot of these systems that we're talking about dismantling or fixing. And especially when looking at the jail population as a city, we don't have control over the jails, but you can look at the jails to see, and you can look at homelessness to see the disproportionate impact that it has on the Black community. Yes, Latinos make a huge chunk of the jail population, but it's proportionate to our population. But when you look at the Black community, they make up 9% of our general population and community, but over 30% of the people in the jail. And so for me, that is a clear indicator that the system that is sucking up my community into the carceral system is able to do so because it can do so freely and so powerfully with the Black community. And so I learned very quickly in the work that I do that as a Latina, I cannot do this by myself. I don't want to do this by myself. And it's the experiences of our Black community, our Indigenous community, that we really need to be uplifting so that we can break these systems that come after us. So that's what I believe is doing work in coalition and collaboration. And we've had tremendous success in stopping a $3.5 billion jail plan in LA County with that vision. We got Measure J, over 2.1 million voters approved it in 2020. And so that's just the way that I'm going to keep moving, that my team moves. And, we saw this type of community being built in collaboration after the tapes came out. What was happening outside of City Hall? It was community dancing, getting together, showing solidarity and coalition with each other. And although I do think that there was some harm that still exists because of those tapes, because there is anti-Blackness sentiment in parts of the Latino community that I think is being taken advantage of. I think the result of what happened after the tapes outside of City Hall proved to me that community is much stronger and that these tapes aren't gonna break all that work we've done together.
Just got a minute left. I guess you'll have to come back another day because I still have a ton of questions, but I want to let you end how you want to end. Councilmember Eunisses Hernandez, what do you want to leave us with today?
I just want to leave you all with, please get politically engaged. Please make sure you're voting for people, but also please make sure to stay engaged after we're in office. We need community to make calls, to send emails, because who's making calls and sending emails to us? It's special interest groups. And so I just hope that, people stay engaged past the election process. We have an election coming up in CD14. I've endorsed Isabel Jurado, who's a tenant lawyer in that election. And I really feel, we need different perspectives on the council to make sure that none of our community members are left behind. So please stay plugged in and just know that y'all got a fighter within our team and myself.
Okay, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but did you endorse in CD10?
I am about to. It's going to come out.
Oh, and how about right now? How about make it come out right now?
You know what? For Dominique, for you, I will. For KBLA, I will. Because I think it's important, and and we're gonna release it soon. But I will be dual endorsing candidates in that election, and I really believe Councilmember Heather Hutt has done a phenomenal job. She's my seatmate. I love working with her. I will be endorsing her. And also I have many years of work that I've done with Pastor Eddie. And so we'll be working with also endorsing Pastor Eddie for this position. But He's done a phenomenal job, has been in community.
Wow.
But I just think both of those candidates would just be amazing for this position.
Breaking news. I love you for that, Eunisses Hernandez, council member for the 1st District. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me, Dominique.
Exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us on a Wednesday. It's November 15th. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The House has passed a stopgap bill that will prevent a government shutdown. Tuesday, the House voted in favor of a Republican plan to fund some departments until mid-January and through the rest of early February at current spending levels. The bill now heads to the Senate, where it does have